comes up here and gets a standing ovation. So would you all please rise for the national anthem?
I've always thought that Ottawa had to have a folk festival. It's one of the 6 large cities in Canada and deserved a quality folk festival.
Well, there was someone named Max Wallace was the station director at CKCU Radio, and he came to town from Montreal and took on that job. And he looked around and said, "How come there's no folk festival in Ottawa?" And nobody really seemed to know why there wasn't one. And he said, "Well, let's start one." So, a bunch of us got together and everybody said, if you knew how much work this was, you'd never take it on. And of course, we didn't know how much work it was, and so we foolishly took it on.
Karen Flanagan McCarthy and I were the first hosts, and we've been there ever since.
I met Chris and Max from CKCU, and that's sort of how I became involved. I became one of, the first volunteers outside of Max and Chris.
When Max and Chris contacted me, said they were doing this, and would I be interested in supporting it, I had to. It was something that was just waiting for its time.
You want to do some signing?
We got involved both personally and corporately, and I think it's been a brilliantly run festival that has nothing but a great future to look at, so I was right.
The atmosphere here down at the park, Britannia Park, on the river here with the Gatineau Hills in the background, it's just such a wonderful environment. The performers come here and they just totally get into the spirit of things.
The audience has slowly grown. The number of headline acts has increased. There's a more positive approach to young artists.
It's great to sort of been part of something from the beginning and to watch it grow and to sort of grow along with it. So I guess that's from a personal level, sort of what I get out of it. I love the music. There's nothing more exciting than sort of seeing a big crowd just in awe of people, and say, geez, you made this happen, or at least part of made it happen.
It's coffee shops, the liquor stores, stale donuts, we want something more. Everything was good with you and me. Oh, my tears are coming down like rain. All my pillowcases, they'll stay.
You're turning people on to new stuff. That's probably been my driving force all my life. Is I love turning people on to new things.
And I think the more I've been involved in this event and in general in putting on music events, the more I have come to realize that my mission in life is actually to connect people with music.
I don't know where I'm from. I'm Chopper McKinnon. I'm one of the hosts at the Folk Festival.
My name is Chris White. I'm the artistic director of the Ottawa Folk Festival, and I've been involved since the start.
I'm Gene Swimmer, and I'm the director of the Folk Festival.
My name is Arthur McGregor. I run the Ottawa Folklore Centre, and I've been a sponsor of the Folk Festival since day one. And I'm into folk music.
This has become now an event that people just plan. They come up to me on the street, they say, I've already got it marked on my calendar for next year. You know, and we plan our summer around being here on this weekend, and it's not so much what the lineup will be in terms of performers, because they don't even know that at that point. But they realize that, for one thing, they can come down here and run into a lot of like-minded people, whether they're people that they know in the community and they only see them, like they only happen to see them at the folk festival because everybody's so busy. Or people that come up from the States or whatever, but they're like-minded. You know, they're sitting together out in front of one of the 8 stages during the day, and they look beside them, and there's somebody with sort of some common sort of ideas about what they think is you know, a good way to spend your time on a summer afternoon or a summer evening.
And then a few years ago, also, we did some of the, you know, Canadian festivals out on the West, you know. And we had a great time doing those. Those were really fun. And it was nice because, although it was kind of odd, because the same people that were playing the one would go to the next one, and we'd all see the same guys at that one, and then they'd all go, and the audience was going too, so it was like the same festival with different names, I mean, of places, but the performers were the same, and the crowd seemed to be the same, and I don't know if it's typically Canadian, but it's uniquely Canadian. And we like that. It's sort of like a moving, festive time of year or something.
Well, I got drawn into folk music because of my brother, Phil Oakes, who was a very strong political songwriter in the 60s. And I started following him and seeing what he was doing. I've been doing the Philly Festival for years, and I also belong to the Northeast Regional Folk Alliance. And the folks from Ottawa have been coming down there quite a lot recently. And I met Gene Schwimmer and I met Chris White at NERFA, we call it. And they said, next year's our 10th anniversary, would you be willing to come up and be a part of the festival? I said, of course I would. And we did a Phil Oakes workshop last year. It was really nice.
There are some old friends like Sonny, you know, who we've known forever, and it's great to be able to catch up with them and see what's going on in their lives, personal stuff, not, you know, not the concert stuff.
We're just gonna play these lovely festivals, go swimming over there. There goes our drummer, going to swim. And there
he's
he
in
is,
the yellow.
In the yellow, he's going in.
Justin
Peroff.
He walks with his head. It's very
walks
funny.
with his head down.
He's thinking all the time.
He thinks all the time. Right now he's thinking, if I go in this water, how far am I going to go out? And if it's cold, how am I going to handle it? And he's thinking about that once you get in, above the waist feeling. He's really concerned about that. Right now.
And I didn't bring a towel.
He didn't bring a towel.
But I think it should be
okay.
Did
the festival provide towels? Should I call our tour manager and see if I can get a towel
He thinks
from
a
the
lot.
festival?
And we're like, this is
And then what
going.
are we doing here? Why are we playing this festival? Thus, he should maybe be in this interview. But we took his interview from him.
And what is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life is this. And that's it. Correct? Love.
Love.
Thank you very much, and welcome to the CUPE main stage and the 11th Ottawa Folk Festival. If you look on the back of your program, CUPE is pleased to continue our association with this folk festival. For us, folk music is about the story of lives, particularly in CUPE's case, working lives, and we need to remember those stories, the history of workers' struggles and of average people's lives.
Mark, thank you, dear. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
We like to just let you know that this is not a totally acoustic show. You know, the story of my meeting with Leonard, this little event this afternoon is really to celebrate I'm not in the right union for this, but I've learned over the years, at least I am in a union. In fact, I'm in 3.
We as a union had tried to find ways, starting about 4 or 5 years ago, to integrate music and different cultural activity into union life. We figured that there are a lot of union members who, you know, could get involved in the union through music, and that music was also a way for the union to try to reach out not just to our own members but to members of the public and to people who might not hear from the union otherwise.
Just fish the cap. I'm here with your friend. Okay. Got it. Here we go. Yeah.
He's my orthodontist. which is why I got such a great smile. Yes. Woo! Yes, this is Dr. John, and Dr. John, I'd like Dr. John to say a few words about what he does and introduce you to all these fabulous sponsors here.
Good evening. First of all, I want to introduce you to the future sponsors of the Folk Festival in the coming years. Also, they represent my colleagues who were a little too shy.
Karen Flanagan McCarthy and I had a professional relationship. She was one of my patients, and during treatment, she always used to ask me, "Why don't you come and see one of the shows, etc. We've got some great performers." So after almost completing treatment, she suggested that I recycle some of the money that she had provided for me through treatment back into the folk festival. And she kind of sweetened the pot by saying, "Are there any performers that you'd particularly like to see?" So I put out names like John Prine and Emmylou Harris, and the people at the folk festival diligently went to work to actually arrange to get these people to come. And so it's been a great relationship, and it's helped a lot of people enjoy their music locally, and I'm very happy to be a part of this.
We're going to start off with a song by Govinder Lightfoot. You'll get it. The way I feel is like a robin whose days have flown to come no more. A tall oak tree alone and crying. All oak tree is a young man's heart. Among his boughs you'll find her nesting. When the nights are cool, she is warm and dry.
I am going to actually tell you that a couple of years ago, the Folk Festival was in dire straits, about to go in the dumper. We had a benefit concert, and because of Arlo Guthrie, we're here tonight. As Steve Goodman used to say every night before he went to bed, he'd say, "God bless Mama, God bless Papa, and God bless Arlo."
Never been introduced quite like that.
We have a special bond with Arlo, and he did something really great, because in its early years the festival ran into some financial difficulties, and what happened was, and actually Gene Swimmer was financing the festival on his own credit card for a while. That's how rough it was. And then we had a couple of benefit concerts featuring Arlo Guthrie. He came up here and performed a couple of shows, and we combined that with the silent auction, and those activities then allowed us to carry on at a point where we weren't quite sure what the future would hold.
I guess it was 1996. We were faced with the possibility that we basically were trying to run a festival without having any cash at all. The only thing we had was Arlo Guthrie's promise to perform at Christmas time, and so yeah, I financed his guarantee, but we quickly sold that concert out, and then sold out a second one. And then Carol, my wife, said, "Well, we have all these people coming. There ought to be a way we can raise more money." So she came up with this idea of having a silent auction around then. It was Christmas time anyway. So between the three things, in one weekend we made about $6,000, which meant we had enough cash that we could go ahead with the festival. So that was the rockiest time.
People kept coming up and thanking me for stuff that had to do with the festival, and I said, what? And they said, well, thanks for, raising money for the festival. Oh yeah, it's coming back slowly. So I'd forgot about it, I mean, we did some stuff at the library, and but we remember the library gig because it was like on the top 5 all-time worst sound nights of our life. And we were laughing about that earlier, Abe and I. So we have memories, but they're not always fond, although we have fond memories of the festival itself. This is a great festival, and there's a lot of people here that who are performers, as well as some just regular concert goers that we know and love. So we're just happy to be here.
We feel really special about him and what he's doing, and he's a really laid back, as you know, like very funny, laid back, nice, engaging performer. But he's also following on that philosophy that actually it's important to be doing music and sharing music with people. And of course, Woody was his dad and influenced so many people with his commitment to social justice and things like that. And Arlo is in that spirit as well. So it's a great combination. He's so much fun, but also there's actually some meaningful substance there too that really connects with people.
It's really nice to be at the Ottawa Folk Festival. This is the only festival we're doing this year, and except there was one other one that we did, which was the one I had to go to, which was the Woody Guthrie Folk Festival down in Oklahoma, and there's sort of an obligation there, That's a free festival, too, and that's kind of fun. All the artists come for nothing, and the audience shows up for nothing. They hit you up for parking or something, but it wasn't bad. And this year, they hung a portrait of my dad in the state capitol in Oklahoma, which nobody down there thought would ever happen, including me. And, he had a hit back years ago, 1945. He shipped out in the Merchant Marine and was torpedoed out there a couple of times, but he got back. And he walked into a bar in Newark, New Jersey, and they were playing this song of his on the jukebox that he didn't even know had been recorded. It was a song that he had wrote that his cousin Jack had recorded. And typical of my dad, he didn't say anything about it. He just kept putting nickels in the jukebox. Walked around saying, pretty good song, huh? Went something like this. Many a month has come and gone since I've wandered from my home in those Oklahoma hills where I was born. Many a page of my life has turned, many lessons I have learned.
I think part of the appeal for both the audience and the performers is that in a setting like this, and especially on the daytime stages, where we have 8 stages that are smaller and lower and more interactive, I think that's appealing on both sides because it allows these performers, these artists, to actually connect more directly with the audience. I mean, they can still be on the stage in the evening and do their kind of set show.
Very nice. Tenors. 3, 4.
You can practice in the choir for 3 rehearsals over the course of the weekend and then get up on the main stage on Sunday night and sing with the choir.
Sorry about that F sharp, tenors. I like the sound of parts when they're extreme, and there's a sound that the tenor voice has when it reaches like just about the very limit. It's a surprise. It was a big surprise. Yeah, it's like, whoa! Yeah, and that is very much your moment. That's the part when everybody just kind of like, ooh, tenors! There's tenors back there!
Chris gets really mad when we use the term workshop because then it sounds like work. But the fact is, for us and pretty well for every folk festival in Canada, these afternoon sessions are what really set our festivals apart from, say, the Blues Fest or Tulip Fest or other music festivals. The idea that we're throwing people together, sometimes around a topic, sometimes around a kind of music, but basically giving people some space to potentially jam and giving an audience a chance to react to performers in a much more intimate, informal setting. That's, to me, is sort of what makes folk festivals really special, and that's where the magic happens.
Okay.
Each of us are doing some separate stuff on our own, and Chris is a member of Galicia, which is another group as well. So we keep moving.
It's the best way to end the summer you can imagine, playing a festival, playing music 24/7.
One of the things a lot of people don't realize is that this kind of interaction doesn't happen at all folk festivals around the world. This is often considered a Canadian concept. The bottom line is it doesn't matter what you call them. Again, it matters what the interaction is that goes on there between the audience and the people. And some of them are the most odd subject matter with the most odd mixture of performers makes for just a phenomenal workshop.
But during the day, and quite often we put them on the stage with other performers. So it's kind of a different and a more stimulating context for them to be in. And if they're confident in their skills and they go with the flow and they're open to what else is happening on the stage and sort of what kind of vibes they're getting from the audience, then it's actually a very creative and exciting experience for the performer. What goes on during the day with that greater degree of connection between the performers and the audience, that's why I'm involved in this whole thing in the first place.
First of all, I'm a harmonica player, so I usually travel with anywhere from 50 to 80 harmonicas and various instruments like the Indian mouth bows, penny whistles, jaw harps, percussion foot drum. And what I do in a performance is I'll do kind of soundscapes. And what they are is it's a form of storytelling. And I still do a lot of blues and Cajun and Zydeco and fusion music with harmonicas. But it's the soundscape pieces that have had me traveling all over the world. I've started playing harmonica at 11 years old. Basically because I couldn't afford a guitar or drums. And but I love the idea that it was just full of music. And it was, to me, it was like a human voice. And so I'd imitate jigs and reels and all the traditional French music that came from the family, and then anything I'd hear. And at 12 years old, I heard Sonny Boy Williamson. And right then and there, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life.
Some people find it's much more threatening than just doing your standard set, but it's also, if you're prepared to take the challenge, it also can be extremely rewarding. And we try with a lot of our performers to get people who are used to this kind of environment, and who, particularly, there are some people we get because we know they're going to interact with people. They're going to be great in these afternoon sessions. So it's a mixed bag.
Hi, my name is Sebastian Gagnon. I came from Barrhaven, which is a part of Nepean, and I love biking, music, and I love life.
Great. And you play that?
Yes.
Yeah, do you want to play a tune?
Yeah, sure. Jeez, I don't know what to play. I'm on the spot here. That's all I got. I can't really rock out on this thing.
We have some various environmental groups coming in, doing demonstrations and talks at the festival.
I am actually a bookkeeper, but I answered an ad in the paper for somebody that was interested in composting and could also run an office. So I ended up going to work for the worm factory. And then my friend who owned it, he passed away, and he asked me if I would keep the worms. And so I built a building at my house and moved the worms home. A lot of the apartment dwellers like the little mini worm factory because they don't have a lot of room, but they still want to look after their own garbage. If they're happy, they're just going to keep breeding and producing babies.
We have a group that's a community drumming group now that's starting up this year has become part of the event. I actually made a list this year. I came up with 19 ways that people can actually participate in the festival beyond just going to hear the music.
Can I show you something? Pushing your hip in one direction, arms up and over.
Probably the yoga instructor got us in tune with our being, and then the drum circle was like a second course, which was very interesting, and we did a little sound check on stage and wanted to check to their groove, so it was actually very nice, very, very nice. And it's so great to come at a festival like this, because you know you're grounded in the tradition, you have the pride, but you also know maybe, well, let's make it accessible in a possible way that really combines other rhythms and works with the music and brings out a wider audience. And tonight was just a beautiful experience, great feeling with the audience. They really were part of the show, which is, I think, essential to a really, really good show, and we had a great time. My name is Eileen Ivers, and I'm from the Bronx, New York. Very nice.
Okay, he's coming up on the 6, and we'll get you ready and get everybody in place.
Yeah, to be polite, they know people very politely.
It's a festival that really still has a people element to it. It still has a good feeling for their volunteers, and as a result, you're able to control things. People are still very generous here.
The most discouraging word you hear is "excuse me," you know, and we always say we could use our security, we could use a Girl Guide troop with skipping ropes, you know, really. For the most part, we are the gentle people.
People are a little more laid back. It's more of a family event. The people here are true fans of the music as they are at other festivals, but the nature of the music, I guess people are just a little more relaxed, and it's not as tense as things tend to get at some of the other events. An artist like Michael Franti, he likes to be close to the people. And the word was given to me that he was going to sign autographs until everybody was satisfied and got their autograph and got their one-on-one time with him. I was basically told he was coming around the back of the stage. But being the artist that he is, he likes to be close to the people. He decided to jump right off the front of the stage and into the crowd. And things like that tend to happen sometimes. You got to think on your feet, you got to be quick, and you got to adapt. And I happen to have some good people that work with me. They gave me the heads up that he's at the front of the stage. We quickly ran around to the front of the stage and started doing a little bit of crowd control and making sure that he was safe, which is one of the main things if he's in the thick of people, as well as giving the accessibility which he wants. He wants to be able to give people a nice hug, chat with them, and not be obstructed from them. But you still have to think of the safety of the artist at the same time. He is going to bring the crowd up And in doing so, sometimes the excitement is still there, and you don't want to see him get mobbed. But you still want to give him the room to be himself with his fans. And sometimes you've got to juggle that balance. But it's my job to sort of keep watching the crowd, keep watching the hands, keep watching the faces, and make sure that you don't have anybody approaching him that might be there for some other reason than to congratulate him or get a one-on-one with the artist.
I received the letter that you wrote on a dark, cold, cloudy day. Yes, I did now. Reminding me here on the side of the road. You find a light, you'll find a friend, you'll find a way. But the day I'm feeling all broke down, I ain't got the faintest clue about what to do. Can't comprehend the situation ain't vain, so I try my best just to get back home to you. Come on, y'all!
It's very encouraging to me that the torch is being passed on, and that the offspring of performers are following along in their parents' footsteps, more or less, and pursuing the same sort of occupation, not necessarily in the same way.
For our family, the torch is not a political philosophy or a necessary involvement in the world. It's just that we all like music, and we all like playing music, and we all play our own music with our own friends, and we all play music together. And that's the torch that we enjoy. If we happen to share some views on things as time goes by, that's great, but the most important thing is to enjoy the music. And if you enjoy the music, then you end up enjoying each other. I remember, when Abe and I started playing together, up until that point, I was just Abe's dad and Abe was my kid. And that was the relationship we had. But then when he started getting good, I actually had to listen. And the fact that he was my son couldn't get in the way. I had to listen to him as a musician to see what he was playing so that I would be playing along right. And of course, all of the kids learned that being a musician isn't about knowing notes, it's about being able to hear. If you can hear, you can be a musician. There's a lot of people who are very technically wonderful, but they're not musicians because they can't listen to anybody. So all of a sudden we started listening to each other as musicians, and then that translates into other parts of your life, and it becomes really valuable.
When the folk festival movement started in Canada in the mid-70s, and we were all in our 20s, and so were the acts. And, as now there's like any given weekend, you have to choose where you want to be because there's festivals going on all over the place. But a lot of my contemporaries had children born or conceived or both at folk festivals. And this young generation is the future. I mean, we're headed for the home, but these kids are now starting to get into their late teens and early 20s. And they're the future of the folk festival.
You feel so. And there's nothing quite like moving to bring you to your knees. You get knocked over and over by the slightest gentle push of summer breezes.
Rachel Harini, who is one of our hosts here now.
It's really great to be here with you.
First time I met her, she said she grew up listening to my radio show. So she is now doing a show called Wake the Folk Up. It's 7 o'clock till 10 o'clock on Saturday mornings. So She listened to her parents' record collections, listened to CKCU. She's definitely very representative of her age group. They're well educated. They have a love of music that came to them from their parents. And when they wheel me off the stage for the last time, she's already going to have 10 years experience in hosting.
For this event to continue over the next generation, we have to attract people in their 20s and in their teens, not just people like myself with gray hair. So I would say to people my age, you got to open your ears, and that's certainly my tastes have changed over 10 years.
This year we have the two sons of David Woodhead, who's like this legendary bass player and performer that's played with just about everybody and has been at this festival a number of times. And now his two sons are in a band with Nancy White's daughter.
The boys in her band, two of them are David Woodhead's boys. And David and I will go to the gigs with them, and we'll be carrying the gear, and then we look at each other and say, how has this horrible thing happened to us? So just you have to be prepared to, I think the parents might as well be supportive and enjoy it. Unfortunately, her band is, Spiral Beach is a fabulous band. And I'm not just the mother, they're really excellent, so I can, I really love the music, so it's a pleasure to go to the gigs. But working the door, frankly, oh man, working the door, it's awful.
You're a music mom.
Yes, I'm a music mom. It's sordid.
But Michael Franti is a good example, okay? He's been, over the last 3 years, the headliner at the Calgary Folk Festival, the Edmonton Folk Festival, the Vancouver Folk Festival. So he's a singer-songwriter, okay? A lot of people didn't like it when Dylan went electric. Well, okay, he uses hip-hop to get out his political message. But the fact of the matter is, he and Ani DeFranco are the two most important political singer-songwriters in North America right now. And we were delighted we were able to get him to our festival.
I think that one of the death knells of a lot of folk situations is the assumption that folk doesn't move. That folk is something that was created back in whenever they decide, the 50s, the 30s, whatever. And that is the definition of folk. Absolutely not. I mean, that definition is in fact, the definition of folk, who I can't remember who it was, says is that I've never heard a horse play the guitar. So everything is folk. The definition has to be as broad as possible.
They said, do you want to come and play at the Ottawa Folk Festival? And we thought, do we have to do something different? And they said no. And then we said yes. It's a true story.
I think festivals are changing a bit, like even what's it called, the one in Guelph?
Hillside.
Hillside has changed a lot over the years. You know, they used to have mostly folk, and now it's still considered a folk festival, but there's a lot of rock bands that play.
A variation of music tonight. They're gonna get the loud, they're gonna get the soft, they're gonna get the angry, the sad, the happy.
Cinematic hope.
You know, try to push our will on them. My name is Kevin Drew. I am from Toronto, Ontario.
My name is Amy Milan. I'm also from Toronto, Ontario. And I met him when he was 13.
13 in Aurelia? Where were
Pinecrest, Gravenhurst.
Gravenhurst.
Pinecrest Camp.
Are you childhood sweethearts?
No, childhood friends.
Childhood friends, yeah.
Friends, sweetheart friends, longtime friends.
Well, that's excellent.
Anywhere
Jackie Washington, Dr. Yeah Yeah, they call me.
We're so pleased that Jackie is here this year. He's 86 years old. And he hasn't actually been here before. Even, you know, he's played so many folk festivals, and there's even the Northern Lights Festival in Sudbury has an award named after him because they think so highly of him. And this year he is receiving, at our festival, he's receiving the Helen Verger Award, which we give out every year to someone who's made enormous contribution to folk music in Canada. And so he's coming as part of Scarlett Washington Whiteley, so he's with Mo Scarlett and Ken Whiteley, and they are old friends, and one of their CDs is called Old Friends. And it's just a joy to watch them because Jackie, in spite of his sort of various health problems and so on of recent years, he just exudes positive energy, and he just has so much knowledge of so many songs that are in his repertoire. He just pulls them out and away they go. So that's going to be a very special evening on Sunday when we present the award to Jackie, and then he takes his seat with the trio, and they just have fun.
I was born in Hamilton, Ontario, and November the 12th of 1919. And I lived in Hamilton ever since. I was raised there, went to school there, and I started performing in 1924. I was 5 years old. I had a little kindergarten song started me off. I started off singing it. My older brother, he was 7, I was 5, and he's just put the harmony to it naturally, you know. So that was our start. And now, when we first sang the song, like my older brother used to come and get me because he was in the older class, take me home. Or I wouldn't have went home, you know. I'd have gone someplace else and played with other kids and, you know, found my way home. But anyway, he come and got me after school just to make sure I got home. So when he came, I wanted the teacher to hear us sing this song. So we sang it for her, and she said, oh, wonderful. And she asked my mother, will the boys sing that song at the school concert? My mother gave her consent, and then we did. At the school concert, there was a woman there that was raised with my mother. She was taken out of an orphanage and raised as a domestic, you know, at the turn of the century. But anyway, she gave her consent for us to sing at the church concert. Now we get to the church concert. Now at the school concert, we knew all the teachers and all the kids, and you know, we'd get up there and sing, and they would be doing this to, you know, and we laugh and say. Now at this church concert, I didn't know any of the people, and they're all adults, you know. Nobody's smiling. They're just waiting to hear these wonder boys, you know. We got up. My older brother would give me a note to start, and I would start that, and then he would join in the harmony. Now I get up there and looking down at all these people. He gave me the note. Nothing. Wouldn't sing. Gave me another note. Nothing. Then another note and So now, the minister come up, the minister of the church, he tried talking to me, wouldn't sing. Now the women of the auxiliary come over. They tried bribing me with cake, candy, ice cream, and money. Still wouldn't sing. Now my mother's getting embarrassed by this all that. So she said to the minister, let me have 5 minutes with him in the back room. I went in the back room and she put me over a knee and applied the hairbrush, put me out on stage. I sang, and I've been singing ever since. A young lady sang this song to me just a while ago. You're my man, you're so nice and brown, sweetest man in this town. I heard you say you was going away and leave me here to stay. So she had 15 children. You know, they're all gone except me. I was the third eldest of the bunch, you know, and you know, it just seemed like my grandson says, well, how come you're still here? I said, I don't know. I must have done something right or wrong, whatever. But here I am, going to my 85th year. I get that funny feeling when you gaze into my eyes. It gives me such a thrill, it makes my thermometer rise. I'm always happy when you're by my side, when you take me for a boogie ride. 1939, I got a job as a porter in the CPR, and everybody tells me I've got a natural charm. I must have had it there because they wanted porters for the railroad. You had to get letters of recommendation. Now, your requirements were you had to be 21, you had to be 5'10", and at least 160 pounds. I was 19, I weighed 129 pounds soaking wet, and with
You weren't 5'10".
No, I was 5'7.5". So, but I had the best recommendation. I can still remember the engine's numbers that pulled us. 2814 and 2839, double-headed. They had 18 cars on that train. We were going across the prairie, or you know, and just relax. There wasn't really anything to do. We just check and make sure that the passengers had what they wanted, or prepare them for when those were getting off, you know. And so, you know, just things like that. So that's when I would take the kids and play for them, and they just loved that, you know. Their mothers just thought that was just great. Yeah.
You get music from Jackie Washington, which spans a whole bunch of time, and it's got not only all this history and this, you get to feel where it comes from, but you see him doing it, and you know, he's an older gentleman that still has this passion, is doing it, so you know, he's a role model.
It's always just so much fun to play with Jackie, and it's just very wonderful. And I'm so glad we finally made it. I've been trying to get us here to the Ottawa Folk Festival for years, so I'm so glad we finally did it.
He should be known by a whole lot more people. He almost remembers more people than the people that remember. Like you know, everybody's birthday practically he's ever gotten to know, and give him a date and he'll tell you, oh, this person's birthday on that date. This day.
Somebody said that he knows 1,300 songs.
Yeah, I don't know, it was 1,250 something. See, because he'd write them all down, and he'd have got several volumes of things that, you know, there's a lot of pages missing and stuff, but he can tell you what page, what number a certain song was, you know, like, he's amazing. He remembers all the numbers of the trains and buses he's ever read on, and like he's much more than just a musical legend. The history he's got in his mind, you know, just with all this memory, details and stuff. He always had great expectations of, you know, people's goodness, and so and he did get mistreated at times, but it took him a long time to ever, if he could find anything good in there at all, you know. And you know, if everybody was like Jackie, and I've said this before, you know, that there wouldn't be war, you know. People wouldn't have heard of war.
You also told him something about
hate. Oh yes, yeah, yeah. I told him. He said, "Well, why? How come your brothers are all dead and you're here?" I said, "Well, one thing, I never lived with hate." He said, "You mean you never hated anybody?" I said, "No, I never hated anybody. Not even my first wife. I didn't like her, but I didn't hate her." And it's true, you know.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Leonard. Happy birthday to you.
And it's called Judy Collins Sings Leonard Cohen, Democracy. So please go pick one up. This CD is to celebrate Leonard Cohen's 70th birthday. A little bit about Judy. She was a huge folk singer in the 1960s. She sang a lot of traditional music. She met Leonard in '66 and launched his career in the States. And she is an instrumental part of his beginnings. So I know you're all very excited about seeing Judy. I know I have been for months now. Without further ado, here is the wonderful Judy Collins.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Leslie. I am so happy to be here. You look so beautiful out there. What a great place to be. I met him through a friend. He came to my house and he sang Suzanne and Dress Rehearsal Rag, and I was hooked. So a lot of these 40 years that I've been recording his songs and listening to them, I would hear them first, you know, listen to the tapes that he sent me, pick the favorites and do them.
And the next night he came over and he said to me, you know, first of all, I have to tell you, I can't sing. I can't sing and I don't know if these are songs. And then he played me Suzanne and Dress Rehearsal Rag. And I said, Leonard, you can sing, and these are songs. And this began a relationship with Leonard that has spanned 40 years. But this was the first. George, a little more sparkle will be fine. Suzanne takes you down to her place by the river. You can hear the boats go by. You can spend the night beside her, and you know that she's half crazy. That's why you want to be there. She feeds you tea and oranges that come all the way from China.
Leonard, happy birthday. You know, I wanted to call this CD Happy Birthday Leonard, but other forces prevailed. But happy birthday, Leonard. You know I love you, and I hope I see you soon.
There's got to be something about the things she does, something about the way she talks.
Even if it doesn't change the world, it certainly, no matter what the circumstances are, it can change individuals' lives. And it can, at least in the short run, make them have a more positive outlook about the world or about their own personal world. You know, there have been songs that have been anthems. There have been songs that have been part of political movements. So maybe there have been cases where music has changed the world, not just in North America, but in South Africa. There are cases like that. But, you know, for me, at a personal level, music changes my life. It makes my life more rich, and I suspect it does for most people.
There's absolutely no question. Of course it can. I mean, folk music has a history of being very political and involved with people suffering. A lot of the songs, and the old folk songs, are about the hard times of the workers and the housewives who, you know, just had to suffer so badly because they had nothing.
Music is the world.
Music is the world. And can you expand on that a little?
What do you want to expand for? It was so right.
Okay, well that's good. Now we have...
Change the music, change the world, you know.
There you go.
How about eight? What about...
Can music change the world?
Nah.
The things that people do together, the people you know, the people you love, the people you hate, the people you fight, the people you save, the things that you do, all of it happens in rhythm, and it happens in time. It's all music. And when you speak a language that everybody understands, like music, then you're talking the one language that is universal. No other language does that I know of. And so the wonderful thing about being a musician is you get to talk with a lot of other people, even if you don't know who they are or what the story is, but they begin to participate with you in the sort of dance of life, in the rhythm of reality, in the whatever it is. That's what I meant.
And there are songs that'll get you through tough times in your life and will help you celebrate great times. And when you play those again, they'll bring you back there and they'll remember, you know, how you got through that. So, I mean, if that's not changing the world, if it's in little spots, but all those little droplets make up an ocean, right? And sometimes we do see a huge wave where music will change things.
If you think of a favorite song that sticks with you forever, there's music that's created that's here today and gone tomorrow, sort of fast food. But there's songs that you just say a word and the artist comes to mind, the music comes to mind. If you just say the word imagine, for example, you immediately think of John Lennon and the spirit of that song.
I think it has. I think it has. Well, every little thing affects everything else to some extent. Music is quite an amazing thing. Well, they say it's an international language, it's brought more people of different, different social backgrounds and races and beliefs together. Somehow most of them have been moved by music somewhere, somehow. And you don't usually see musicians, declaring war on each other,
Changed my world. Yes, indeed, yeah. Like I told you, I started real young. And by the time, like, my brothers had joined in, by 1938, I told you, we had sang in practically every church in Hamilton. Well, we weren't just a black family. Everybody knew us, and it was actually a wonderful feeling.
Of course music can change the world. If people let it change the world, that's another thing. But I think it's already changed the world.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Of course.
And how do you feel you're changing the world right now?
Well, I don't feel we're changing the world that much. I feel more like we're changing bedrooms and homes and maybe hearts.
Sure changed my life, I'll tell you that much. It was a very big positive influence in my life. Switched things around. It made me focus more in life. Gave me more of a focus, passion. I don't know. It's an outlet more for expression.
We're asking all of our artists one question, and it is, do you believe that music can change the world?
Oh, absolutely. It's changed my world. They say if you change yourself, you change the world, so I believe that.
As a musician, that's all I do. That's all I live for. I'm not a musician to entertain. I'm a musician to share my cultural background and my messages of love, of peace, and hope, justice.
I don't know if music can change the world overnight, but I know it can help us make it through a difficult night. And sometimes that's what we need to make the slow drip drop that moves the mountain, that grows the tree, that nurtures the flower, you know. So it's one drop at a time. Sometimes we don't see it changing at the rate we'd like to. But then, and when we need it the most, the music is there to help us make it through the night.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
I view the world as a musician. I'm not a dancer. My mom was a dancer and my sister was dancers, and I became a musician so I wouldn't have to dance. You know, it was either like, okay, Arlo, either have that guitar or that tutu. Well, it was a no-brainer for me, you know. So
I notice you're not wearing shorts. I can't see your legs.
that's what I'm
Probably
saying.
that's a good thing, so.
I could have been a fabulous dancer. If only I would have liked it. But I didn't like it. I mean, it's not that I don't like it. I don't like it for me. It's not me. Because you actually have to move and stuff, you know. So, for me, I like music because you get to sit down and play with other people that you never met or who you don't even know. And you get to share what being a human being is all about. To me, that's life.
Where does the name Arlo come from? Is that a family name?
It comes from a book. There were these books that were popular at the time when my mom was a kid in school, and there were these little continuing stories of this Swiss kid named Arlo. Arlo wasn't really his real name. It was his name. See, his real name was Orlando, and he was a prince. And the bad guys came and they had to send Orlando off to safety, so they sent him off with his distant aunt or something. And then the parents disappeared because they were hiding from the bad guys, like the king and queen or something. And then so Arlo grew up as Arlo and very poor, but he used to sing songs. And then at the end of the book or something, he meets up with his parents and he gets to be the prince again. And then I guess he goes back to being Orlando.
What would you do if you weren't a musician?
I'd be a bartender.
Oh, yeah? Listen to other people's problems?
Oh, yeah. Maybe I wouldn't want to be a bartender.
Take drunks home?
I'd be a tour guide.
And where would you be?
Well, we've been on the road for 40 years now, driving around. We know every nook and cranny. We know every good spot to eat for something, you know, for restaurants. We know where to stay. We know where, you know, secret little places are that you sit there and you gasp because it's just the most beautiful thing you ever saw. So in my next life, I'll probably come back as a tour guide.
Tour guide.
Yeah.
Well, there's the sequel to Alice's Restaurant is the book. There you go.
What
the
book?
Tour guide. The tour book.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. An interactive. You could do it on a computer.
Instead of Fodor's guide, it's Arlo's guide.
There you go.
That's great.
I'm ready. I'm just not ready for my next life quite yet. So don't get me thinking about it, because, you know, you get what you want sometimes. Sitting there saying, oh, yeah, tour guide would be great. A lightning. You know, okay, Arlo. Whatever you want, Arlo. You know.
Here's the bus, here's the microphone.
However God talks to you, you know.
So we're asking everybody.
My God just sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. And after a while, you have to pay them too, eh?
Well, I wish. The truth is they get the loot. And they peel off some and give it to their poor pop. I don't even see the freaking money anymore. I have to go overseas to foreign festivals where they don't understand the currency. That's the only money I get. It's true.
I know.
You know it's
It
true.
is true. It is.
Abe gets the money.
So you're supporting the old man, are you?
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. I'm feeling fairly older as time goes by. The more people that, you know, that we talk to and meet, stuff like that. I remember you. There's people walking up to me who look like old people and said, I've been listening to you since I was a kid. And I'm going, oh, geez, okay. I've been listening to myself since I was a kid.
Who we are,
Yeah, what your name is and where are you from? So,
name and rank.
so if you look in the camera and each of you say who you are and where are you from.
You first. I don't know who I am and where I'm from. I'm just with you.
You're driving.
I know I came from somewhere.
Oh. Well, I can't tell who's the camera looking at.
Right there. Looking at you.
No, I know I'm looking at the camera. I got that part. I couldn't tell.
Both of you.
Both of
Oh,
us
we're both in
together?
there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do you guys in a two-shot.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Pop.
And I'm son of Pop.
And you're from?
Oh, from. Well, I'm also Arlo Guthrie. I mean, also is not part of my name, though. Although, also is part of my Guthrie name. Also is part of Abe's last name, too. Because these Guthries, I mean, they're just also, you know, like Woody Guthrie, and there's also Arlo. And then when you look at me, there's also Abe, and it just goes on. We're never ending also Guthries. Or in additions to.
There you go.
And from? You're from?
Oh, I didn't even say where we're from.
Where are you born?
No.
I'm from Coney Island,
There you go.
Brooklyn. That's the holy ground.
À la cola, vous avez écrit ceci, c'est Rosal. À la belle, vous avez Mr. Manifé.
You were playing yesterday over in the center there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you.
Personally escorted into the town.
Never know when you're gonna find one that lasts. Could be in your family, your school, your neighborhood. Well, it could be your dog or your cat.
big hit during the last election in the U.S., I know.
Thank you. Salute.
And of course, it has a grand guitar solo by me again.
Looks like you went swimming again.
So won't you come with me? We'll know what river flows, know what river knows. Oh, to nowhere but there doesn't stop its going. Whenever when lovers are going, but all the lovers showing their hearts to each other.
Woo!